Water Sector Reform Implementation Strategy, which is published on my department's website, is focused on ensuring that appropriate policy and legal frameworks are put in place for Irish water and the water sector. A key objective is to rationalise the cost of the current service delivery and ensure more efficient operation of water services by moving from 34 water service authorities to a single body, following enactment of comprehensive legislation which will be hopefully done later this year. And this will ensure that Irish Water will therefore become the Water Service Authority from the 1st of January 2014. The Government has decided to assign responsibility for the economic regulation of the water sector, including the setting of charges, to the Commission for Energy Regulation. And it will be a matter for the Commission on Energy Regulation in due course to satisfy itself in relation to the appropriateness of costs incurred in the operation of Irish Water as part of the process of setting the tariffs for both the domestic and non-domestic sector in the future. It is envisaged that the Commission will engage in public consultation as part of this process. A key role for the regulator will be to protect the interests of all customers and to drive efficiencies in the water services sector.
Dr. Thomas Pringle. 1 minute.
Okay, thank you, Last Gorda. Minister, it's very hard to devise whether there's an answer to the question in that response. The question asked whether, in your view, you could foresee that there would be a reduction in charges to commercial water users under Irish Water. The message has been put out there that the commercial users will see a reduction because of the fact that domestic people who've been getting it for free, in inverted commas, for so long will now be paying. And I certainly don't believe that that will be the case because, as you know, the local authorities have been operating for many years now on a full cost recovery basis in the charging of commercial users and also operating on the polluter pays principle in setting water charges, which means that the aspect to supply water to commercial users in local authority areas is fully paid for by those commercial users. So it will have no bearing on the cost of providing water for domestic users or the fee charges in relation to that. So I believe that the commercial users will not see a significant reduction, and I would just be interested to hear what your actual views are in relation to that.
Thank you, Deputy Minister.
I do know that Deputy Pringle has a very detailed knowledge of this work arising from his former employment. And it is going to be a matter for the Commission on Energy Regulation to assess charges to see what is happening in the water in, water out, matters that are being implemented by the local authority system at the moment, which will become part of Irish Water and the Commission on Energy Regulation. So I can't answer the questions you're saying, honestly, today in relation to what I would hope, certainly, that all of the people that are being charged for water at the moment, whether they're in the commercial sector or group sector, will be able to imbue the sense of urgency that's required to all other sectors in the domestic area to show how we can actually reduce the amount of water we use, how we can realise it's a finite product, how it costs so much to treat for local government at the moment, and how we can reduce the cost to local government so that we can reduce commercial rates and reduce costs for businesses to do business. Equally, there is a requirement for additional capital investment. We're not going to get that from the public capital programme in the next few years, in my view. We don't have that money. We have to get it from the private sector instead to come into Irish Water, but that can only come when we have a stream of investment income.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy Pringle, 1 minute.
Minister, given that the Commission for Energy Regulation will be setting the tariffs in the future, one of the roles of the Commission for Energy Regulation is to look at the cost effectiveness of the service level providers as well. Will it be the remit of the Commission for Energy Regulation to look at the liberalisation of the provision of services for water services across the country as well?
What context? Sorry, could I get clarification on what liberalisation of what?
Service level agreements come up for renewal. Will the Commission for Energy Regulation look for those to be tendered?
No. Water will continue to remain a public utility company, Irish Water. We have learned from the previous experience of Aircom when it was sold about the difficulties that created for service provision. And certainly I don't intend, and this government doesn't intend to have anything other than enshrining in legislation the need to keep public utility like water, which is an essential resource, in public ownership. And the liberalisation of services under service level agreements certainly doesn't come into play in relation to that as far as Commission on Energy Regulation is concerned.